is a part of the steering committee of this coalition. And so I just wanted to establish those, that information, and we can move the agenda forward, Comrade Lisa. Uhuru.
Uhuru. And thank you so much, Brother Chairman, for that synopsis. And I just want to say to the people who have tuned in and who are watching, if you have any questions, please submit them into the chat from wherever you are tuned in from, and we will do our best to try to get to as many of them as possible. Next, we're going to have, I want to introduce Sister Belinda Parker Brown of Louisiana United International. We are going to have a joint presentation by Sister Belinda Parker Brown. She is the CEO of Louisiana United International, a civil, constitutional and human rights organization that is addressing the COVID-19 battle in Louisiana and pandemic, as well as that's addressing what is going on in these prisons, in these very abusive prisons. And joining her on the panel discussion will also be Dr. Zena Crenshaw Logo. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. And she is the Director of Jurisprudence, and she also works with Louisiana United International. She is the Assistant Chief of Operations, and please join us in welcoming these two powerful sisters who will be telling us what we can do. And as you are listening, remember, this is about organizing for what we can do. Sister Belinda and Dr. Zena Crenshaw.
Uhuru, my sister, thank you so much for, I am very grateful and appreciate this opportunity to be a part of such a powerful organization, Black is Back Coalition. Without the support of organizations like this, we here in Louisiana probably would have no alternative or nowhere else to turn. So I am so grateful and thankful that you have allowed me to have the opportunity to tell the world what's really going on here in Louisiana. And I just would like to start off by saying, you know, I would like to thank everybody that's tuned in to this webinar on today, you know, because this is a very, very historic moment that we're dealing with here in Louisiana. And I just want to invite everybody across the country to be a part of this historic moment that Louisiana is taking the lead in, to let the world know that we're fed up here. We are fed up and we need help. I want to start off again by saying that, you know, telling you back in 2008, a young lady from Tulsa, Oklahoma, came to Louisiana. It's a little town called Bogalusa. Some of you may be familiar with that. This young lady came and she was a news reporter, and she came as a underground news reporter to join up with the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan here in Louisiana. And she wanted to do her story and investigate on how Louisiana have used the power of their abuse with law enforcement, you know, the judges, the court system, and all of these people being a part of the Ku Klux Klan here. And that young lady, you know, to make a long story short, she went in the woods with these people as an undercover, you know, reporter, you know, opposing to be to join up and become indoctrinated into the KKK, so that she can get a story out. She was murdered. She was shot and killed by the KKK. And that was in 2008. And the people that did it, you know, we were successful in getting some guilty pleas. We don't think that everybody that was involved with that murder. But what I'm trying to let the world know is that the Jim Crowism is alive and well here in the state of Louisiana. Institutional racism is alive and well here in the state of Louisiana. And, you know, we had the war on drugs, and, you know, Louisiana took the lead and became the highlight, or over every other, you know, country that massively incarcerated people more than anywhere else in the world. with the war on drugs. Okay, then after that we had Katrina. Okay, Katrina, you know, told the story while the whole world was watching us here in Louisiana, how bad, you know, we were being treated as Black people. Now we got the COVID-19, and the coronavirus is a death sentence on Black people here in the state of Louisiana. And I want the world to know, right now, people, we need help. And that is our cry, that is our call. And I want people to know that we can't do this by ourselves, all right? Now, I need to let you know, because I take this personal. You know, when people are being done wrong, it is, you know, we can no longer stand on the sidelines and watch and be silent about what's going on. And I believe that when we begin to tell our stories, the real truth about what's really going on here in Louisiana, we want action. We want action, people. It's time for action. And you know, in the devastating situation that we in right now, facing this coronavirus, in our prisons and jails, it is horrific. And when we hear stories like people are dying inside of these jails because there is a lack of any type of administrative remedies, they are covering up the real truth. You know, we just had a parent, a wife, call me and said that her husband died in the prison, and she was not even contacted. They did not even notify her, and they then buried him on the prison grounds without her even having the opportunity to know about the death of her husband. We got jails packed, people packed inside of these hellhole jails like sardines on top of each other. And there is no way that they can practice social distancing. There is no way possible that they can get the proper medical treatment and attention that they need because they're sick. We just had a situation where the warden have died from the COVID-19. The medical director have died from the COVID-19. In one of the facilities, the whole kitchen trustee staff was infected with the COVID-19. Now, the inmates that are in the jail are striking because they're afraid to eat the food because it was contaminated. You know, this is serious, people, and we need help here in Louisiana. And when we look at how bad people are being treated when it comes to the disparity, people are dying, Black people are dying in the hospitals of the COVID-19 virus. And we have made a call to the governor, and we want the people to know that, you know, that our leadership is a disgrace here in the state of Louisiana. It's blatant disregard, a bunch of cover up and lies that are happening here. And that's the reason why we're saying that enough is enough. And it's time for us to act. Thank you for allowing me to share. And I would like for Dr. Zena, Sister Lisa, to come in and share why it's so important that we have people support this movement and join up with us to get a meeting with the governor so that we can get help for those that are suffering inside of these prisons and jails and get them released.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zena. Crenshaw Logo.
Yes, thank you so much, Uhuru. I just want to I just want to express how grateful I am to be part of this presentation and to be part of working with Louisiana United International and Black is Backers Coalition. I have been working full-time as a human rights defender focused on U.S. legal system reform and judicial accountability since 1998. I started working on a national basis in 2005. And through all those years, I've never encountered a more committed, sincere, effective group of advocates as I have encountered in the brief time that I've been working with Louisiana United, and then now the Black is Back Coalition. So I've been around, and so when I say that this is the most effective group, the most genuine group, the most committed group that I've ever encountered, I want you to know I've worked with a lot of people. So I'm very thankful to finally have made it home. My presentation, I want to emphasize points that push back against the depiction of our challenge as just a difference of opinion with government. That's important to me. I kind of just, was one of those people. They say, if you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. Well, I'm just a lawyer. I think legalistic. So it's important for me to emphasize that what Louisiana United is calling for is not just our opinion versus the opinion of the establishment. Our fight against the colonial virus and the death chambers that it has turned the Louisiana detention centers and the jails and prisons into, that fight is based on fact and is based on law. So unreliable is a word that really should stick in our heads. The government reports on what is happening in Louisiana in their detention centers and jails and prisons are inconsistent with what people have and confined in those facilities are telling their family members, as Ms. Belinda indicated. So at this point, the government reports are unreliable, and we have reason to believe that everyone incarcerated in the state of Louisiana is at risk of dying of COVID-19 infections, and that means thousands of Black people may get sick or die in captivity. It just amazes me that with Blacks comprising 33% of the population for the state of Louisiana, that constitutes 67% of their prison population. So we're talking about, as Chairman O'Malley says, this is going to hit our community harder than everybody, as this kind of stuff always does. The U.S. Constitution and international human rights treaties that are part of America's federal law have a lot of fancy ways of making this point. And the point is simply that the punishment should fit the crime. Louisiana officials are talking public safety, just like you're hearing officials across the country. They're talking public safety. But when you start that conversation outside the parameters, outside of keeping the balance between the crime and punishment in proportion, and you start speculating what people might do if we release them in crime waves and infecting the community, when you start getting outside of a consideration of the punishment fitting the crime, that's when those kind of dynamics, that's flirting with genocide, okay? Because we are presumed innocent, and nobody should be held, confined on the basis of what he or she might do. This is not an episode of Grey's Anatomy. Governors and wardens are not empowered to choose one life versus another, to decide that the good people on the outside deserve to be spared of these, rascals that they got hauled up in these prisons and jails. They don't get that choice. You have to tune in to Grey's Anatomy for those kind of decisions as to, who's worth sparing, who's worth saving. In the context of an epidemic or a pandemic, what our governments, what Louisiana's executive branch, what their comparison has to be limited to is between the crime that people have been accused of, been charged with, the circumstances of those accusations, whether they've been determined guilty, their record or behavior while confined. You compare that information to the punishment. And at this point, the punishment may include exposure to a deadly virus. That's the only comparison that our government should be making. Anything beyond that is a violation of our federal law, which includes international human rights treaties. When the governors and the wardens can and the community, when we look at what someone is accused of or what they're convicted of, and the other circumstances, like, how long ago was it? Did they plead actual innocence at trial? Did they have other affirmative defenses? How old are they? What's their record? How they behave since they've been incarcerated? When you look at those facts alone, and you determine that the price to pay is too high, the price of being exposed to having an avoidable exposure to the coronavirus, then that person should be released under appropriate terms. That's the end of it. We have had the first reported prisoner in Louisiana to die was someone who was incarcerated because of a technical parole violation. And I've never been a criminal practitioner, but I've worked with people who have dealt with the abuse of parolees, and that people, they finally get back to their family, they get a job, and then they 15 minutes late for a parole meeting, and they actually end up getting put back in jail. How are you going to maintain your family? How are you going to maintain a good relationship with your children, your spouse, when you are getting put back in jail because you were 15 minutes late for a parole meeting? And how are you going to keep a job? But this is what happened. And then who is the first person who gets reported as having died of the coronavirus while incarcerated in the state of Louisiana, but a young man who was only in jail for a technical parole violation? But again, the conversation across the country is, well, we want to look at public safety. The Attorney General for the state of Louisiana said, oh, we're going to have a crime wave. I'm going to push back on Governor Edwards if he starts doing mass releasing people from the prison, because they want to protect the so-called law-abiding people from these rascals, and that is the beginning of genocide. What we have now are people confined because the tough on crime folks don't want them released. And not a single branch of US government, I'm telling you, is going to upset that apple cart unless we put some serious pressure on these institutions. We've got to be a force to be reckoned with. And thank goodness that's the Louisiana United International tagline. If I have a few more minutes, I'm not sure. I just want to give you a little bit more background. When we get to the call of action, we have that in a simple list, and it's just a matter of getting to our website. But I just want to explain a few things if I can. Louisiana LUI is part of a campaign that I helped manage called Opt-in USA. And the basic complaint that we have is that the legal system has been weaponized against America's legal system has been weaponized against Black people and anybody else they want to take down. The UN, we've got a lot of support from the United Nations, believe it or not. It's just amazing because we're a small operation. But the UN Human Rights Committee encouraged the Trump administration to meet with us, a delegation of Opt-in US supporters, which include LUI. And they did that. The Human Rights Committee made that, encouraged the Trump administration to meet with us well before we had heard of the coronavirus. We need our group, one of our calls to action is that we need to press the Trump administration for that meeting, because we need to talk about what the problem is with the legal system. People should be able to go into court and get orders to be released in light of medical conditions. None of that's working, and it's not even working for the so-called big lawyers. Genocide is a crime against humanity. I'm sure we all know that. And we could, as individuals or any of our groups, could take US officials to the International Criminal Court for how they're handling this pandemic. But guess what? The United States is not a member of that court. So another thing we're going to be asking you to press for is to get Congress to ratify the treaty. that will allow the U.S. to be a member of the International Criminal Court, so we can get some accountability. That's something that we could do on our own. We won't need our governor to do that. And as Ms. Belinda indicated, we want to push the governor to meet with her and whoever else she designates to join her from LUI. Um, if I'm not mistaken, LUI was the first organization to write the governor and talk in terms of evacuating these prisoners. There are some people that it's a no-brainer that they should not be in harm's way. And instead, they decided they wanted to go through this red tape. We're looking at it. And so now we need to press Governor Edwards to have that meeting with LUI. Next Tuesday, we're going to have a press conference. You're going to be directed to LUI's position statement, and that's a detailed explanation of the legal basis of everything we're talking about today and what we're asking you to do. Again, this is not just our opinion. We're not just talking about the morality of the situation. We're talking about these people's legal obligations and their failure to. The sooner we get it articulated, the sooner we can hold them accountable for those standards. And at this point, no matter, they can ignore us all they want, but that is the foundation of a crime against humanity, because they have been informed that this, the building is on fire, and they stopping you at the door, asking you how many times have you done something, or did you make your bed this morning, and all these different questions, trying to decide whether you should get out of a burning building. So, and then we're going to also in the action group, we have a join donate page on the LUL website. So you're going to be directed to that, because we need numbers. We need numbers insofar as people, and we need numbers insofar as dollars in the bank account in order to be able to win this. And this is not so to swell anybody's bank account or for me to go and get a tattoo when the state of Georgia opens up the tattoo parlors, which they were going to do this weekend. This fight can be funded. So you'll see the LUI website on the screen. Ms. Belinda?
Yes, Dr. Zena, thank you so much for that. And, I want the people to know that we're serious about this, and this is not going to go away. We're here to stay. That's what LUI means, Louisiana United. We're here to unite our people, to bring them together as a force for justice on a strong, united front. And I want, other organizations that are out there that's doing similar work that we're doing to join up with the Black is Back coalition. Don't hesitate, people. Like Dr. Zena said earlier, we are a effective organization that we are getting things done. We can't wait 150 years. We can't stand around and just talk about it. And when everybody know about it, it's time to do something about it. And I believe that, together, we can, we have all the tools, we have all the experts, all the professionals are a part of this coalition to bring about the information or whatever it is that we need to put things in place to change this forever. Because after this COVID-19, we're not going back to the same old. It's not going to be things as usual. This is an opportunity. This is a lifetime opportunity. This is a historic moment that everybody can be a part of this change, especially what we need in our legal system. The legal system is corrupt. It's a disgrace, people. And we cannot no longer stand by and see what these people, how they abuse it. I'm talking about the judges, the prosecutors, the lawyers, the law enforcement. All of those people are working in cahoots to do whatever they want to do. And this got to stop. It's got to stop. So I know that, one of the things I want to say that we are excited about. The chairman, mentioned it earlier about, how we have been successful is to bring I want to say all the way back to the 1800s. They had a racist, unconstitutional Jim Crow law, in the Louisiana statute here, okay, that was schemed up so that they can use it to convict people under a non-unanimous jury. Okay, we called it the 10-2, and what they did was, they just made up their own rules. They didn't follow the United States Constitution, where you have to have a jury of 12 before you convict somebody of anything. Okay, they did it with a jury of 10-2, which is a non-unanimous jury, and then they would take that and then they would multi-bill people and give them life in prison on non-violent offenses. You get life in prison for smoking a joint. You get life in prison for snatching a purse. And when we look at our research that we have done, we go down the list, we got thousands and thousands of people. It say black, 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 black. Then you might see white. Then it's black, 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 black. And then you might see another, Hispanic or somebody like that. But the problem is that we know that this was an all-out attack against Black people here in the state of Louisiana, and it's time for us to fight back, people. All right. So if you have a loved one, and I'm serious about this, that was affected by this schemed up racist Jim Crow law, all right, none other than unanimous is not enough. You got a loved one that have been a victim of this 10-2, then you need to join up and become a part of this great work that we're doing. You need to, stop talking about it, okay? Because now the United States Supreme Court have favored us. We have won against the schemed up law that Louisiana used to incarcerate our loved ones.
And Sister Belinda,
okay.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought a moment because we want to bring in Brother Ralph Pointer, but we will be coming back to that because it is so important for people to understand that we are about action and we are our own liberators, and we need people to sign up to support Louisiana United International because we want to give them a message. They got an army behind them. They have an army, a nation of Black people fighting for our liberation behind them. And also we need you to also go to the blackisbackcoalition.org as well. So please go to Louisiana United, LAUnitedI.org, and also go to the blackisbackcoalition.org, a coalition of organizations. And next we're going to bring up Brother Ralph Pointer, who has been on the front line of every revolutionary struggle we've ever had, but he has specifically been on the front line of fighting for those who are incarcerated and fighting to change this system. He calls them concentration camps. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Brother Ralph Pointer, who is also with the Support Lynn Stewart organization. He's done quite a bit of work with that, and he's the chair of the Black is Back Political Prisoners Working Group. Brother Ralph Pointer.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this struggle. But you must all realize that Louisiana has been a part of the folklore of the struggle for liberation of Black people in this country. Going back to the Honorable Isaiah Marcus Garvey, did great organization in Louisiana, did much work on behalf of the Angola slave camp. And remember, slavery did not end with the so-called end of slavery. It continued in Louisiana and in the most outrageous conditions at the Louisiana Angola prison. And so when we say that Louisiana is the center of the maximum and minimum security of people, of Black people in America, what we say is when you're in maximum security, you're in Angola, and when you're in minimum security, you're in Louisiana, the general population. These are the numbers we have to deal with. These are the demands. As a member of Jericho, we have listed demands that we must act on immediately. And the U.S.-Cuba-Canada collaboration in fighting COVID-19 national network on Cuba and Canadian network on the Cuba campaign. Now, what that means is basically that we, as people, all people in America, must fight the government to allow them to give us the same rights that people in Italy and Spain and other countries have demanded and gotten. That is the demand to allow Cuban doctors and nurses to come to this country and give us help, because we need great help. They need to go in not only to Angola, but they have to go in to Louisiana proper. And we must contact all of those who claim to be our political leaders, all of them, and demand these rights. We have the right to live. We have the right as people on the globe, the same as I say, most notably, when they showed the images on the corporate media of the 80 Cuban doctors going into Italy, it changed the dynamic. And I hope it changed the dynamic for all of us on the ground here to say, what's going on? We are dying here in our communities. And what are our communities? We are nothing but a colonial outreach within continental United States. And we as colonials must take the step to say, we recognize what you have created for us, and we demand as colonials that we are able to access the available technical and medical resources of a worldwide pandemic, or the resources of a worldwide known source of these resources. And I say that's Cuba. The world recognizes Cuba as the center of education and center of humanity in terms of welfare, the welfare of its people, the welfare of the world's people. And we must demand, we don't have to wait to go to Congress. We have to go to everyone who's a member of any active political community to say, these are our demands. And if you look on the Jericho website, you will see these demands very explicit. Let me continue with what I started, the struggle that that was continued with the Honorable Isaiah Marcus Garvey, is being continued today. Now, throughout these years, this struggle has been going on, and we have small victories, but we lost the battle. And today, we have the Honorable Belinda Parker Brown leading the struggle one more time. Now, I say we won a lot of small victories, but we lost the battle. This time, we must not lose the battle, because this is the battle for our very existence. Not only the people in Angola slave camp, not only our brothers and sisters who are political prisoners in the death camps, but this is a struggle for our own existence. We as African people must win this struggle. And I'm hoping that the Belinda Parker Brown, Chairman O'Malley, and others involved in this movement can pull it together as a force to make these demands real. And I'm talking about in every small community, because this COVID virus does not select just Black people. They select all of the people who are in what would we call that? In condition of poverty. And if you're in condition of poverty, you must join us, because those in condition of poverty are the ones who have been denied medical access and the ones whose immune systems have been compromised due to poverty.
Exactly.
Who will be affected by this. And so we must, as in when we look to the UN, I kind of grin and I says, well, the UN denied the people of Haiti the right to have Cuban doctors there who wanted to go and help the people. And instead, they brought a disease that helped destroy the people of Haiti. And then after that, they refused to take responsibility. The UN, well, I don't know about the UN, but I know about people of goodwill who are willing to fight this government and any government that would deny us the right to live. They say the rights that are listed in the Constitution, which we have none of, never had, and we must unite if we are ever to have them. And we've had the full explanation of what's happening in Louisiana by the chairman, by Belinda Parker Brown and Dr. Crenshaw. But the one thing that's been left out, the pink elephant in the room, is guns. Every time there seems to be a problem in America, the guns go off the shelf. We know who's buying them. And the governor of Louisiana has said nothing about closing the gun shops. And my brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, we must be a part of that group that goes to the gun shops and are willing to use them. And what we can do right today, right now, is to commit ourselves to support those brothers and sisters who know that struggle, dared use guns in self-defense. And we must no longer allow those people of liberal persuasion to say, oh, but they had a gun. And as Richard Williams said to me many years ago, Richard Williams died in the death camp as a political prisoner. He fought on the part of the poor and oppressed people in America to have justice. And when I asked, what do you think of the idea of people having guns? And he says, you better have a gun. And he was accused of using the gun. And we, the political prisoner support group, supported him. And sadly, when he died in prison, in the death camps, it was a defeat for all of us, because we must learn to support the people who support us. Now, I realize I'm running over time, and I realize that the issue has been well explained from every perspective by the speakers before me. But I must ask people to go to the Jericho website, because the Jericho is one of the outstanding groups over the years that supported our political prisoners. And some of the demands, as I have mentioned to you, is the demand that we allow Cuba, no, that we invite Cuba to come and help us in this extreme condition we find ourselves in, due to the major defeats that we have suffered over the years in our struggle to have liberation and equal rights. And so I thank those who came before me and took my speech away, particularly by laying out all of the facts. But we must continue this struggle, and we must support our friends. We must support those who supported us. And I gotta say it, we must destroy politically those who are our enemies, because only in this manner can we survive. And so, my brothers and sisters, thank you again. And I hope to be on this program again and to deal with the real issues of our liberation. Support those who supported us. Demand support from those who are willing to support us. And if it comes back to me that during World War II, when
Brother Ralph, I'm
okay,
sorry.
my time is about up.
Yeah.
During World War II, when soldiers of color were in Europe fighting the enemy prisoners came to the United States and were treated better and had more rights than the black soldiers who were going to fight them and dying in Europe. And so I say to you once again, let us not allow that to happen again as it is happening. We must demand the right of all people to have those who support them support us.
Uhuru, and thank you so much for Brother Ralph. You don't know how much I hate saying time to people.
Come on, folk. Come on, folk.
Right.
We have to do. Thank
Right.
you.
You don't know how much I hate saying time to people because the things we are talking about are so important and they are lifelong struggles, but we have so much to get in. And Brother Ralph, thank you so very much for that. And I just want to say this real quickly to people because we are going to also be talking about a plan of action. So please just make sure that you finish watching the rest of the program because that's what it's about, a plan of action. What can we do? We have got to save ourselves. We have always been our own liberators. And we're going to write this chapter on our terms of how we are going to make it through this COVID-19 and fight back. And just to let people know, the rest of the program, we're going to do a call for membership. And this is also the time for questions and answers. So please submit your questions. If you have any questions, please submit them in the chat. And we're also going to do a call for membership. And then we're going to come back to the call for action. That's what everybody's been waiting for. And so please, people, join the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. We are organizers. We are in the community. We are on the ground, but we will only be as strong as the people who join us. And we need everybody to join us. We are your organization. We are there for you. And to just let you know how you can join, definitely go to the website, www.blackisbackcoalition.org. Go to that website, and you can go to www.blackisbackcoalition.org/donate. And that way you can directly donate and become a member or offer our contributions. If you want to become a member, we have $25 for individual memberships, for an annual membership at $25. And you can also join for 2 or 3 years if you would like. We have organizational membership. And the organizational membership fees are $200 a year for international organizations, $150 a year for national organizations, and $50 a year for local or provincial organizations. And again, we need support. Please go to our website and donate if you want to make a donation, or even more importantly, we want people to join. We have various working groups like the healthcare working group, the reparations working group, the educational working group, the political prisoners working group, and we do a lot of work through those working groups. So please, brothers and sisters, we need your support. Join us. And in the meantime, do people have any questions? Are there any questions for the panelists? Even the panelists can ask questions. Do we have any questions? Anyone have any questions? People are muted, we can't hear them. But if you have any questions, you can submit them into the chat room. Oh, I see 2 questions right now. Oh, Brother Ralph, could you give us the Jericho website? Could you give us that website?
Yes, the Jericho website is www.jericho.org, and it has so much information in it. It would take hours to describe the work and the information, the factual information as to what's happening with all of our Jericho, all of our prisoners. And I have this sheet that I will not bother you with, the COVID-19 cases. There's a total list of that, and by state. And so Jericho dot www.jericho.org has all of this information. Please go to that website on prisoners, political prisoners mainly, because we have to have an accent on those who dared to struggle, dared to win, and are punished in the death camps. And be clear about that. They are death camps. Louisiana has the slave camp, death camp, but political prisoners are scattered throughout the country in the death camps. And I ask people who feel the passion that I have for those who support this, join this working group. We will be dealing with this. I hope to get back in the movement with movement of people. The moment we get over this COVID-19, if we're able to get over the COVID-19, and we might not be able to do it without the help of our Cuban brothers and sisters that have proven their ability to help us. So go to all of your local politicians, your local representatives, and I know you people in Louisiana are going to make sure Belinda Parker Brown becomes a part of your local political organization, because whatever she runs for, I know you're going to support her because of the work she has done to date.
We have a few more questions coming in, and I'll just ask the panelists to please be remember to try to be concise. And I'm just going to read a couple of questions, and then we can open them up to the panelists to answer them. But we have one question coming in from Chris Williams. He's asking, how do we get JBE to hear us? We are the reason he is governor. Can anybody answer that?
Okay, Sister Lisa, yes. Dr. Zena, I hope you heard that question too as well. What we're calling for John Bell Edwards, the governor of Louisiana, to sit down and meet with Louisiana United and other working organizations like the Black is Black Coalition to bring forth, our concerns, the reason why that people are not being released from these prisons like they should. Dr. Zena, could you weigh in on that question too as well? Why that is very important, because we're the first organization that called for the evacuation of thousands of inmates that were due to be released. People are sitting there that's due to be released within, months or, several years, but they're afraid, their family members are afraid that they're gonna die. They didn't serve their time, they almost off the door, but they're afraid that they're gonna die of the COVID-19.
Okay, well, I would suggest that one good way of getting the governor to hear us is for us to mobilize, show our strength in numbers, and he'll start envisioning himself in one of them orange jumpsuits, and I bet he listened in, because at this point we are giving him the information that his decisions, the choices to disregard what we're saying, becomes grounds for criminal charges. We are saying that you have the legal responsibility, the fact support, releasing people, discontinuing the act of exposing people to avoidable risks of death. At this point, once we get that point clear, once our statement is circulated and we make enough noise, to disregard it is to make a conscious choice to expose people to risk of death. Again, I'm not a criminal practitioner, but that's called murder. That's definitely at least called manslaughter, and it's also a crime against humanity. So how about we start letting him envision being in one of those death chambers, and I bet he listened in.
Okay, I'm going to go two more questions, and then somebody's sending some information to us about membership, people who have joined. So I'm going to put forth these two more questions, and we're going to try to answer them within 2 minutes, and then I'll try to read some information about those who have made contributions. Okay, somebody would like to know, are we tracking data by race of prisoners released on vivid-related petitions? I'm not exactly sure what that means, but
Ralph answered that
tracking
question.
prisoners by race and and who are being released, etc. And also we have a question from one of our members of the Black is Back Coalition. And this question is to Belinda. And the question is, what has been the response from the CBC to the situation in Louisiana, the Congressional Black Caucus? And so, Brother Chairman, you're going to answer one of those questions, I'm assuming, possibly? And
No, I
then
was just going to say that Ralph answered the other question, that Jericho,
List
go
by
to
color
Jericho, you'll see
and
that
state.
list. That's by race as it's been characterized. So no, Ralph has already, and so people can go to Jericho, www.jericho.org, and you can find that information listed there. And then Jamu raised a question for Sister Belinda about the Congressional Black Caucus and what position it has taken. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I want to say this. When this young lady was murdered by the Ku Klux Klan, they dug the bullet out of her, okay, and they buried her there in the woods. They covered it up. And this is what we're dealing with all of our leadership here in the state of Louisiana. It's called cover up, cover up, cover up, and blatant disregard. Okay, this is what we're receiving because what I want people to really understand is that we have to get our numbers up. We have to get the force with us, and the power is with the people. The power is with the people that are victims of this type of treatment. And that's the reason why I'm saying I cannot rely on the legislation here or our government or our politicians that have let this stuff go on for so long, okay, knew about it and didn't do nothing about it. So, I consider Louisiana United International is the greatest thing that ever happened to Louisiana when it comes to exposing this type of injustice and letting them know that it's not going to happen on our watch. So we need people to join up with us. Go ahead, Dr. Zena.
I don't need to add to that. You said it all.
Okay. Thank you so very much, Dr. Belinda. Dr. Zena, we're about to come back to you and Sister Belinda about the call to action. But in the meantime, I just want to report that we do have a membership that came in from Sister Katrina Williams. And we want to thank her so much for that membership. She wants to be a part of the Political Action Working Group. So thank you so very much. And again, please, you can make your donations to the blackisbackcoalition.org. You can go there to make your donations. And also please support Louisiana United at launitedi.org, so Louisiana United International. We really do need people to become members. We need your support as well. And I also just want to say, because right now we're getting into the call to action. Let me just tell you a couple of the things that the Black is Back Coalition has already been doing. I heard Brother Ralph reference Cuba and the medications that Cuba is using. And we have put forward a demand with one of our coalition member organizations, the People's Organization for Progress, calling for Cuba's interferon alpha 2B to be immediately allowed to be used in this community. The FDA can do that. They can approve it. They just haven't. So we've got letters going to the FDA and various organizations. And so we will be publishing that information. We've also been putting quite a bit of information out about what people can do, how we can protect ourselves. So please support our website. There are also many organizations that are working with us as a part of the Black is Back Coalition. Please be connected to us as we are talking about action items and what people can do. And with that, Sister Belinda Parker and Dr. Zena Crenshaw, why don't you tell us the specific action items that people can take, that they can do now, today? So,
okay.
How much time do we have for that, Sister Lisa?
We have 5 more minutes, 5 minutes for the call to action. Okay. And then we're going to come back with the closing statements.
Okay, I would like to start off, Dr. Zena. I want people to know that they have determined that it's better that we die as Black people here in the state of Louisiana. So we're calling for every single person at the sound of our voice. We have figured out how to control the narrative. So listen to me. No, I want you to hear me, because it's a difference between listening and hearing. You know, my grandmother used to say, when you listen, it go in one ear and out the other. But hear what I'm saying. It's an action word. It's time for us to act. And how you can support us is by going to our website at www.launitedi.org. And the reason why I'm saying that, people, is because we cannot do this alone. We can't do it all by ourselves. This is not an isolated incident. Okay, we have to approach this on a systemic matter, because it's us ganging up on them like they have been ganging up on us. And that's the only way they're going to be able to give us the respect that we deserve as people, Black people here in the state of Louisiana. We have to get our numbers up. So go ahead, Dr. Zena.
Uhuru. I only just want to add that, you know, if you get to the website, everything that you need to do is there. It's the list, is links. So just get to the website. Don't miss that I at behind United, United. I want to make a quick point about the United Nations. We are, by in no sense of imagination, seeing the UN as our savior. The UN has made a determination. The good thing about this struggle that we've had over the last 2 or 3 decades is that we've shown that America's legal system and its political system is not effective in protecting our rights. And the United Nations Human Rights Council made a determination in 2018 that America's legal system does not provide us an effective remedy. Yes, you can mobilize, you can come together, but when you have the legal system disenfranchising you, destroying the very people that are now required to rise up and overcome the system that destroyed them, that is against international human rights law. And the United Nations made that determination at the request of our grassroots organization. That's phenomenal that they would determine that the United States does not provide effective avenues of relief. We're going to be writing Congress, the Trump administration, Governor Edwards, and not a single one of them are we going to be asking to do us a favor. We're going to be telling them to do their job. We're going to be telling them what's illegal about their conduct, the responsibility, the even possible criminal liability that they will have if they persist, and they will hear us if we come correct, as Ms. Belinda indicates.
Absolutely. Do I have a minute left? One more thing, Sister Lisa, I would like to say to our listening audience, you know, and I want to make this also a part of our closing statements. But I'm telling people that if we don't act now, later is going to be too late. We can't wait. Okay, so you know, it's time for you to go to our Facebook. You know, we have Louisiana United International Facebook. You know, go to our website. Everything is there. When you start liking and you start sharing like crazy and getting your family members, all of your friends and loved ones to join up and like the information that we're putting out there, to support the information that we're putting out there, then our numbers are going to go up. So please do that. Start doing that today. Thank you.
And with that, we are now going to have closing statements by Sister Belinda Parker Brown and Brother Chairman Omali Yeshitela, who's going to take us out. So Sister Belinda, please continue. You have 5 minutes for your closing statement.
Thank you, Sister Lisa. You know, I feel like this has been a great opportunity for us to really share that our hearts are heavy. But you know, I'm appealing and I'm challenging every individual out there that's listening to us that have loved ones that have been wrongfully incarcerated by the non-unanimous verdict. It's called the 10-2. That racist Jim Crow schemed up Constitution, in the Louisiana Constitution, so that they can mass incarcerate our family members here. So I want you to know that this is an opportunity for you to join up with us. We already have, you know, our plan on how we're going to challenge the governor, how we're going to challenge the state of Louisiana, how we're going to approach this and control the narrative. That's very important because, you know, when the U.S. Supreme Court came down with the decision and ruled in our favor that the non-unanimous jury, non-unanimous jury is unconstitutional. Okay, so we won. Now it's time for us to bring our loved ones home, and we're saying free them all. So it's so important right now that you act. Join up with us so that we can immediately start taking action to get our loved ones home within the next 72 hours. Listen, people, this is very important, you know, and you can't do it by yourself because they're gonna, you know, I'm gonna tell you, they will say something to you and they would do something else. And we already, a lot of these shelters is lining up, nonprofit organizations are lining up to control the narrative, set a lot of our loved ones in these parish prisons to try to get them to plea out, okay? And this is not right. And what we're saying, if you join up with Louisiana United International, we want our loved ones to come home immediately to be with their families, to be restored, especially in wake of this serious coronavirus that they are suffering right now in these jails.
May I say that freedom is not in Washington. It's not in the governor's office. Freedom is where you are. Join where you are right now. And this is the beginning and ending of freedom. And let's do it, brothers and sisters.
Uhuru, and thank you so very much. And before I introduce or reintroduce the chairman, I just want to also let people know that we are planning for our electoral college conference. We are planning for that for June. I just had it up here for June 12th and June 13th and 14th. We know that our schedules have been interrupted by what's going on with COVID-19 and social distancing and how we cannot right now gather, but we are still planning actions. Please look for more information about that. We are planning another strong and dynamic online conference. We want everybody to participate, but this is how we are going to move forward with these elections, especially during the time of COVID-19, and how we see how the United States wants to weaponize this, and how both the Democratic and Republican parties are doing what they've always done very well, and that is fail the community and fail our people. And now to close us out, I can't think of a more powerful closer than our chairman, brother Chairman Omali Yeshitela. But it's really the beginning. It's not a closing. It's really the beginning of how we build our revolutionary struggle and turn this situation around right now, because we are our liberators and we can do it. Brother Chairman.
Uhuru, Comrade Vice Chairwoman, and everyone. I just, first of all, want to express my most profound, my deepest appreciation to the steering committee of the Black is Back Coalition. There are about 17 or 18 members of the steering committee. I think there are 18 now, members of the steering committee. It is a steering committee that connects to organizations that represent the spectrum, the full spectrum of ideological and political positions inside our community in this struggle that we're involved in. And I want to salute our coalition, because it's an incredible organization that has already been mentioned. And I'm not sure everybody really recognizes what is so special about this coalition, because it defied every prediction that of the inability of Black people to stick together. And we're talking about an organization of 18 different organizations and then separate individual members. This is something that came after the United States government used assassinations, murder, mass imprisonment, you name it. to crush the struggle for democracy and for liberation that African people were involved in. Some of the most important people that you're familiar with, from Malcolm X to Patrice Lumumba, to Martin Luther King, to Medgar Evers, just across the spectrum were murdered and many people arrested to crush our struggle for happiness and for the return of the material wealth and resources that's been stolen from us over the generations. So I want to just say that this is really powerful, what we have done. And what we've done makes it possible for Sister Belinda Parker Brown, in many ways, despite all of the excellent organizing she's been doing and the successes she's been having, working in the darkness, in the sense that so many people around the world didn't know what she was doing. And could be a form of isolation and making her vulnerable to, more vulnerable, I should say, to attacks from the government and from other sources. Now, as a consequence of having this kind of coalition, none of us has to stand alone anymore. And so it ends the isolation, or the potential for isolation that we might otherwise have. That's why I think this coalition is so important. And it's not a substitute for any organization. The coalition is not a substitute for Louisiana United International. It doesn't try to be. It is a process that allows for Louisiana United International, for the People's Organization for Progress, the African People's Socialist Party, all these different organizations out there, to magnify our presence in the world as a consequence of being connected to each other. So it's not an attempt to become a substitute for the Louisiana United International. We couldn't do that even if we wanted to. But the coalition, I think, is very important because of that. And we organize around some fundamental principles of unity that has allowed us to stay together now for almost 11 years. This is an incredible track record that we've experienced. And so I want to just really express appreciation for that. And the other thing is that we have dealt with this issue of self-determination that we've been talking about for so many years. But what does it look like? What does self-determination look like? What does that mean? And part of what we've done with the movement to create the National Black Political Agenda for Self-Determination is give it a concrete manifestation. This is what it looks like in the world, that has to do with the oppression of African women, that has to do with the exploitation of African families, that has to do with mass incarceration, that has to do with the right of African people to engage in a fight for self-determination using whatever means necessary to do that. In fact, some people have come to understand that's precisely because we are colonized. Well, that the law has a different meaning for African people and for colonized people than anybody else. In fact, Africans and colonized people live under a dictatorship, and it is a visible dictatorship. And when I say dictatorship, I'm not talking about what people like to characterize Trump as a dictatorship, a dictator. I'm talking about dictatorship, which means rule without regard for law. Because we're talking about here all the law that's supposed to be there. What the hell does it mean? All these laws that they pass, what does it mean? It means nothing. Rule without regard for law is dictatorship. And it's ruled by the gun, ruled by force. That's what happens to us. And that's something that most of us recognize. I'm calling on everybody to make a contribution to this coalition. You ought to get off some money. There are people who I can see who are participants. We want to contribute to the coalition. We also want to make donations to Louisiana United International because that concretely is a concrete manifestation of the real support that we have for what it is that we're talking about. None of us has any money, especially now during this time where people are laid off and can't go to work, etc. But if whatever we have, because there's some preacher that everybody in here is supporting, or many people are supporting some preacher that doesn't even work for a living. It's a parasite, lives off other people who work, live off welfare recipients, live off all those other people who do the work, but they get the money. So what I'm saying is that we can give, this is the place of tithing right now. Give to the coalition, give to Louisiana United International. That's what we should be doing. And that I think that Comrade Raff made a really important point. He makes it all every chance he gets. And that's the right and responsibility to use any means necessary to fight for your liberation. And when you talk about people being colonized, which is a difference in trying to integrate with your oppressor, when you talk about a struggle for self-determination, you're talking about a struggle for national liberation, national liberation. The African nation is colonized and under colonial domination. And in the struggle for national liberation, every act by the people who are fighting for national liberation is an act of self-defense. Every act is an act of self-defense. So doesn't matter who fired the first shot or anything like that. It's the struggle for self-determination, the struggle for national liberation. Every act is an act for self-defense. And that's what we need to come to understand. So I just want to express my deep, most profound appreciation for the Louisiana United International and, Sister Belinda Parker Brown, who is my hero, because I was there with her in St. John the Baptist, what is it called? St. John the Baptist, whatever what is it? Parish, yeah. Whatever heard of a St. John the Baptist parish, right? A Catholic named parish that, right? What is the vision of what is it? The separation of what is it called? Religion and the state and all that stuff. Yeah. So anyway, in St. John the Baptist parish, I was with her there, and I've experienced firsthand. I've experienced her courage, and I have such deep and profound respect for you, and also because your passion for freedom is genuine.
Yes.
And I really want to say that I recognize and support that. And I'm calling on all of us to be prepared to support this sister who's waging this incredibly fierce battle in Louisiana. And guess what? She get anybody she can. She can get somebody to work with her and come help to make this struggle. She's gonna get you. And so all you gotta do is look like you might be somebody who is susceptible to her message. And next thing you know, you'll be in St. John the Baptist parish. So just want to thank everybody. And again, please support the coalition. The Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations is the most important thing that's happened to our movement since the 1960s. And it has brought all kinds of forces together who never otherwise would have been together, never otherwise would have been able to work with each other around basic principles of unity and support the Louisiana United International and Comrade Sister Belinda Parker Brown. And I think I call you Belinda Parker Black, but that's another story. Belinda Parker, Black Power.
Black and brown.
So thank everybody for being here, and comrades from the steering committee, those of you who are not, obvious here as panelists. I saw that Comrade Khalid Rahim, commented here, and I know that Comrade Ajamu Baraka asked a question. That the question was whether or not the Congressional Black Caucus has offered any help in Louisiana. Of course, if the Congressional Black Caucus offered any help, it was to the white people.
Right.
It was to the government. It was to the state. I mean, I know that they haven't done anything. So I want to get that dig in for Comrade Ajamu. He wants to make the point. He wants them exposed for the opportunists that they are. And so thank you so much, brothers and sisters and comrades. Thank you so much for joining with us, and continue to support the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparation. And remember, as Comrade Vice Chair Sister Lisa just mentioned, on June the 13th and 14th, we will be conducting the 4th Black electoral school to teach African people how to deal with this electoral system, how, if you want to run, how to run, so to take away this whole monopoly on engaging in that electoral process from these sellout Negroes like the Congressional Black Caucus and others, to take away that monopoly, let other people, so they can't claim to be represented. Make these Negroes have to fight for their lives, even in the electoral process. Come in there with a program such as what we are saying now. Come in there with a national Black political agenda for self-determination. Come in there, and you can't pussyfoot with them though. You got to say, free them all. You got to say, this is what you got to say. Let them all, turn them all loose, and et cetera. That's what we are saying. This is a new day. These Negroes going to have to fight us on every front. So thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Uhuru. Black is back. Black is back. Freedom all.
Black is back.
Right on.
Can I get both my fists? Are my fists showing?
Uhuru.